Hello and welcome to the Hotel Marketing Show. In this podcast, we're going to talk about all things hotel marketing. We're going to talk about things that are happening in the industry, insights, things that all hotel marketers or anybody that has an interest in hotel marketing wants to know about. My name is Victoria.
And I'm Nadine.
And we're the hosts of the Hotel Marketing Show. To kick off the podcast today, in this episode, we're going to be talking with Maurice, brand director at citizenM, about building brands in the hotel industry.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maurice, for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to have you here. And of course, just to kind of kick things off, I would love to know a little bit more about you, or can you give us a little introduction to who you are, what you do, and we'll take it from there.
Well, thank you both for having me. Yeah, Maurice, as you said, Maurice Ajanaku, brand director at citizenM. I have been with, I'd say, part of the creative industry since I studied. I'm a product engineer by trade, I would say, and quickly moved into the graphic design, so working for agencies as a graphic designer, mostly packaging, and then quickly went into other industries from that. Went into textile at Flisco, working on brand development there. Flisco, an African-Dutch company, and then working at Diageo in communications, and after that, making my way to citizenM, but always been, I would say, in every role I've had, the goal was really about building brands and really, telling those stories about brands. Next to that, I have a podcast of my own by association. I do also now bi-weekly with Emma Hooper, a friend of mine, where we just talk about what interests us. It's very broad. It can go.
I love that.
It can go from a Netflix series to the meme we've seen to, I don't know, to our opinions about Mark Zuckerberg. So that's kind of where we kept it open to just it's basically a venting opportunity for the both of us to say our opinions.
Awesome. I'm gonna put a link to that in the show notes so that everybody can find it, because I don't think you can give an intro like that and us not link to it.
So it depends. So I mean, this week we're more on the branding side, let's say, which is quite funny with it being part of this show now. But but it's just our venting moment. And and a proud father of two lovely daughters, I would say, which is my life's work. I'm not done with that. I've just started that life's work, and I still got many years to go. I'd say until they're 18, and then I might stop then. But let's see. But we take it from there. They're 7 and 9. Yeah, okay. 7 and 9, turning 8 and 10 in a few months.
So halfway there.
Nice.
Halfway there. Exactly. But we'll see when they leave the house.
Yeah, I think people staying at home longer and longer. So maybe 18 is a bit optimistic.
Oh boy. Let's see how that goes.
Awesome. And so then a question that we love to ask everybody is, what's your hobby, or what's your biggest hobby? So this could be something that you started recently or something you've been doing forever. What would you say is your hobby?
Well, if you were to ask my family, and I'd say my wife, they say I have yearly hobbies. It really is. I can't stick to one thing. I mean, during the whole pandemic, I all of a sudden was this cyclist, and I just do every day. I would cycle. I just went I don't go 10%. Like if I do something, I go 100%, right? Or 200%. So I went all out with the cycling to a moment where I pulled a muscle and I was out, and I was like, oh God, I'm not doing that again. But year long, I was just focused on that. Even
So
started
you got all the professional gear as well. You're fully equipped.
I mean, I really used it well. And I even started a cycling club, or I helped someone start a cycling club. Then I go all in. Right now, I would say, what's my hobby? I recently moved to another neighborhood, and we decided to start a wine club. See, this is just me. It's just like I need to go all out, and then,
Nice.
kind of professionalize the wine drinking. But yeah, my hobby, I just enjoy having good time with friends and people I know. I'd say that's my biggest hobby, to be honest, because that was also the fun bit about cycling, was connecting with people, to be honest.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it sounds like you're a connector. You're one of those people that
it's what I enjoy the most, I would say. So in everything I've done, it's always about, in the end, great conversations, connecting, learning from each other. So whatever the hobby is, that's always my end goal.
That's awesome. We had somebody on the podcast, one of our earlier episodes, Philip from Online Birds, and he was building a wine cellar, like, in his
Ah,
house. So, I
ah.
mean, maybe you can make, like, a connection with him as well and get in on
Phew.
that wine.
I mean, that's that's definitely another end goal then. But, at the moment, I just have a huge fridge, I would say, and hopefully one day I will have the wine cellar if the building permits it. But
It's the
wow.
goal.
Oh, I'd love to connect with him on that one. I'd like to see how he's doing that.
Yeah, we need to ask him for some progress pictures or see
I think
see where
so.
that journey ended up now,
Yeah,
if the
yeah.
wine cellar is full or empty, all of these kind of things.
But it's always difficult in Holland to build in the ground, to be honest, because I mean, I'm right next to water here, so just getting that sorted apparently is a lot of headache. So I don't know if I want to
Yeah,
go through that.
you don't wanna end up flooding the place, just because you wanted a
Exactly,
wine
exactly.
cellar.
And then there you see your wine floating away into the river, which is not what you
Yeah.
want.
No, definitely not. But I love that with the hobbies. I think, well, Victoria and me were always talking as well about what our hobbies are. And I'm kind of like this repetitive hobbyist, if you could say. Like, I have this hobby and then I kind of, grow a little tired of it. And then all of a sudden I have this newfound passion for it. And then I just restart it or say I restart it. So yeah, that's good. So you have different hobbies every year, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. You just
Nice.
you just focus on what interests you. I think it only makes you learn a lot, it keeps things interesting than just doing the same thing for the rest of your life. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah, my
Yep.
new hobby is I downloaded a Pokemon game on the Switch, and I feel like it's like a throwback to my childhood. Like, sometimes I feel really guilty about doing, like, a hobby that's not, like, productive, but then I was like, "I don't have like, a hobby is for me, like, I think I can, like, play Pokemon, that counts."
It does, it does, it does. I've never played it, to be honest.
Oh, it's great. It's a good time.
Nice. Another question we have for you is what you wish to see in the hospitality industry in 2023. I know we're in March, so we already got like almost one quarter into the year, but for the other three quarters, what is something that you wish or hope to see?
It's a difficult question. What I wish to hope to see, look, I think what's been great about the hospitality industry or the hotel industry was, the fact that it rebounded so quickly after after the whole pandemic. So I think that was, of course, a wish for everyone, and we've gotten there. What I would say is unf- well, it's quite funny because I work for a hotel brand, and of course, the higher the ADR for your room, the better it is for you as a business, right? So actually, I'm going to say something that counters that business side of me in the sense that, you know, y- what you are hearing is that, the hospitality or the travel industry is becoming a lot more expensive, also especially with inflation and so forth. That, you know, what I would love to see is where it goes back, not necessarily to being, cheap, but that but it becomes affordable for everyone again. And why I say that is because I really do believe that you gain knowledge, you grow yourself as a person by traveling. And therefore, I would feel it a shame that if we keep on going on this upward trend of the hotel and travel industry becoming much more expensive and maybe being less accessible. At the moment, people still have a bit more disposable income, which they save, so that's fine. People are spending it, but will it come to a point where they can't anymore? That's a shame. So I would love to see that the industry is aware of that and also kind of makes it a point to facilitate and not only think about always, reaching the peak ADR, but also is still being affordable for, those who don't necessarily have so much disposable income to still travel and see the world. And that for me is definitely something I'd love to see in 23 is that kind of like refocus on how do we, you know, how can we become a gateway to the world for the global community?
Yeah, I love how you said that. And I also really think that's something that, well, I hope to see as well. I think talking to different individuals from the hospitality industry, revenue managers, or in general from the perspective of a hotel, you often hear, oh, we hope ADR keeps up this high and all
Hmm.
of this. But I think what you just brought into play is a whole different side of looking at it, which is just as important, actually being able to travel, enabling people that they can gather experiences again after COVID,
Correct.
just, yeah, being able to experience this lovely industry and make it affordable to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, finding that balance.
Affordable, not cheap. That's the
Yeah,
most, and with citizenM, we also make that clear. It's not about being cheap; it's about being affordable, right? And
yeah.
that's a constant dynamic of what affordable means in that front. But it needs to be affordable for individuals.
That's cool. I love that. Yeah, that like definition as well. Affordable, not cheap. I think finding that balance between, yeah, still making money as a hotel, but then remaining accessible for your guests as well. I think it's really cool.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, and I think just on like a little side note, which is not off topic but on topic, but not the next question. But I think also if prices keep rising and rising, people have way higher expectations of what they expect during their stay. Right? If I end up paying 300 euros a night instead of, let's say, 150, I expect this 300 euro level of service. And if I then enter a hotel which has 150 euro level service, then you get this kind of discrepancy where travelers are just going to be unhappy, and then reviews and
Correct.
all of this kind of, it goes into this negative cycle.
Yeah, agree. I mean, you already see it in like some of the reviews you get. You know that's the case. So
Yeah.
definitely.
So I
Awesome.
love that.
Cool. Well, so today we're going to be talking about brands and building a hotel brand or building a strong brand in the hotel industry. So maybe what we can do to start with is maybe we can make sure that everyone's on the same page about what a brand actually is. Like what is it? Is it just the fonts and the colors? Like how do you actually define what a brand is?
I mean, I define a brand. I always say it's about the emotional connection. If I start there, and what I mean by that is the font and the color is fine, and that's a logo, right? So any product or service can have a logo, but not every product or service has a brand. There are a lot of services and products out there that aren't necessarily a brand. They're a service or a product. And in my definition of a brand is where it goes a bit more deeper, where you also create, a certain connection with your audience. It actually stands for something. A brand is where you can take away the logo and people can still recognize it, right? Be it the feeling they get, right? So take citizenM, where I work at the moment, right? And we liken, a brand to a living thing, a living, breathing thing, because so liken it to a human being, where you have certain values, you have the way you look and stuff, but it's also who you are on the inside, right? There could be an individual that looks almost like me, but the brand Maurice is not necessarily what you see on the outside, but it's also how you interact with me and how I am and the values I have and so on. And that is, I think, also what I believe a brand is. So again, there are a lot of service companies and products that, in my viewpoint, don't necessarily have a brand, because the moment you take away what people deem the brand, which is the logo, it's unrecognizable. There is no connection. You can't put your finger to what that brand is. And that's only when a brand is successful, is when you can do that, I would say.
That's awesome. So good.
Yeah, I think also if you think about that there's so much noise out there right now that sometimes it gets confusing, right? And if you don't really have a strong brand, it's very, very easy for people to just forget you because they don't have this emotional connection, or they don't remember something particular or specific. So actually having that is probably one of the most important things in today's day and age.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's again, I believe the brand doesn't stop at the brand guideline book, right? Because and funny enough, a brand guideline book is not a brand guideline book. It's really just a logo guideline book, right? So a lot of companies have a brand guideline book, but it's just a logo or font guideline book, because the brand goes deeper. The brand goes with how do you talk to your public? How do people who work for you, right? So if you work in the fashion store, or you work in, clothing store, or in a hotel and so on, how do the colleagues of yours that work on the floor interact with the customer, right? That is also an extension of your brand. And if you don't do that well, you're not going to, people will have a different sense of what that brand is, right? And at Citizen, we do that with our ambassadors, right? It's who we hire to represent our brand, and we call them ambassadors. We don't call them front of house staff or whatever. They're ambassadors because they're ambassadors of our brand. They are the connection they are between our customers and ourselves as a brand, so they're the beating heart of who we are. So definitely it's a lot more than that. And if the experience you're getting is not on brand, yeah, people will forget you very easily.
Yeah, a question that I think leads quite nicely into this. And of course, feel free to answer or not, depending on your feelings here. But could you give us a little insight of what some of your favorite brands are in the hospitality industry?
I find that's a very difficult question to answer because, again, for me, a brand is more than just, what I see on a computer screen or a piece of paper. It's also the experience I have. So, I'd only be able to answer this question with the brands that I literally have experienced, not as a professional, but as a consumer. So for me, yeah, what's my favorite brand in the hotel industry besides the one
Second
I work
question, and we're already tripping you up.
be, be, besides the one I'm working for, right? I'm not allowed to talk about citizenM. No, I think, look, within the hotel industry, I think a lot more the brands that you connect with on a personal front for me would be, I mean, I look a lot in the hotel industry at the luxury portfolios, right? I look at hotels like Banyan Tree and Six Sense and so on, that I've experienced because it goes further than just that stay. There was a lot more during my stay there where then a lot remains in my head about that stay. That is, it's much more an experience, I would say, further. So those are brands that I definitely enjoyed. But yeah, I actually do find this a very difficult question. I think I learned from different brands. So, you know, I look at something like the Good Time Hotel in Miami, right? I haven't stayed there, but I visited it. And just that experience of walking around that hotel and seeing what they've done and kind of how they market and how they, work with Pharrell Williams, I think was unique. I look at Faena, the hotel, which is just a classic hotel. It's just, I mean, some people might think it's very teach, but I just think it's just an amazing hotel, just walking there and that experience and how they use color and so on. So I don't have a favorite one. I would say I look at different hotel brands and I get certain cues from there that gets me excited, either professionally or personally. So I can't answer your question because I don't have one favorite brand. I look at different all the brands for at different values for what I feel that they give me as a brand, right? On my personal or as a professional.
Nice. I love that answer. It's very, very like a politician answer as well.
It's just I would yeah, but it is difficult because also that was quite funny because also your preference changes as you grow as a person as well, right? So what I thought was exciting possibly 10, 15 years ago and thought was an exciting brand, I don't feel the same now, right? I was talking this morning with someone about Rimowa, the luggage brand, right? And the question, I think it's an amazing brand. I love what they do, but I would never buy their brand. I'm more of an away suitcase because I'm much more about affordable luxury, which is kind of what we do at citizenM, right? I don't feel for me that's not a price point I would buy for a piece of suitcase, but Away does fulfill that. So, is Rimowa my favorite brand? It's a brand I look up to, but the brand I don't buy, but the brand I do buy is Away Suitcase, which is kind of an exciting brand.
That's really, yeah. I just like what you're just saying there about the luxury and the brands that you like as well. I was just thinking about how you mentioned some like more kind of luxury travel brands as well. And this isn't our pre-prepared question, so if you don't have an answer, don't stress. I'll just
It's
cut it
fine.
out.
It's fine.
Do you think that the strong brands? Do you think that that has to be like associated with these bigger hotels or like more luxurious hotels? Like you talked a bit about the experience on site, but also not just like the visual identity of the brand, but like the experience on site. Do you think that that is just related to luxury brands or just that luxury brands already like place an emphasis on it? Like, how do you see that?
I think luxury brands are more prone to do it. And we learn from that. And I also, for example, look at, Citizen, which isn't considered a luxury brand, but we do a lot of things that these luxury brands do on the queues. And what I mean by that is, again, when you're gonna go buy a 10,000, or when you're going to spend 10,000 to stay at a hotel for a week, again, to your point, Nadine, earlier, was your expectations are way high. So, that moist towel you get when you arrive better have a scent of mint mixed with a bit of pomegranate and a hint of hibiscus. I don't know. But that's an expectation you have, right? And if you don't get that, you're like, hey, what am I paying for here? So I think it's an expectation with that luxury piece and also, again, and they have the cost of goods versus, the profit they make is a lot higher. The margins are higher, and therefore they're able to do those extra pieces. But I think what's great is learning from that as possibly a mid-sized hotel and doing that as well. I think you're a lot more flexible being a lot more of an independent company than part of a larger group. I think being part of a larger group, again, there's a lot more focus on, on a lot more the revenue play. Was if you're an independent player, you have a bit more flexibility on that front, where again, it's about that, the intangible elements. Not everything has to lead straight to revenue, put it that way. But again, that experience you have for those luxury hotels, what you remember is not necessarily the logo, but the experience you had during your stay. And that's the brand, right? So they're investing on that piece of the branding, right? Which isn't necessarily, oh, we're going to put a fancy logo up. I mean, a lot of them have amazing logos, but in the end, it's that experience that is the investment they're doing on their brand and the experience, right? And then in the end, also ensuring you come back and you leave and you talk stories about it. Because again, I would say the most influential marketing is referral, but not referral through referral marketing, but referral through your friends, colleagues, and family, right? Those are the strong. When if I were to tell a friend, you have to go here, the chance is much bigger they will, because we're very much alike in what we want. And therefore I've already done 90% of the marketing for that company.
I was actually staying at a hotel a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't have high hopes. Like, this was just purely a practical thing, right? I was like, okay, this is fine. And then I got so excited because I walked into the room and they had all these little amenities, which I really didn't expect, because again, for the price I was paying, I didn't expect it. So I was completely like happily surprised. So now I will definitely refer this to friends and family. And I think this is actually quite a good example of what you just mentioned as well.
Nadine loves amenities. That's like
I don't know
I
if
love the ones
citizenM.
you can take. It can take
Yes.
with
So I don't
you
know if
the ones that
citizenM
are
is the right one
installed
for
to the
you. I
wall.
don't know if citizenM is the right one for you. But but what I love about citizenM is also the fact that for us, it is also about that experience piece. It also is about, we know the audience you're getting, right? Also the expectation of your consumer at that point. Are you there for leisure? Are you with family? Are you there for business? We focus most of our business towards the business traveler, and it's really, the feedback we get about the stay is fantastic, from the living room feel to the bedroom, but also what is the first and foremost piece that gets reviewed and gets positive review is our ambassadors, the people you meet. Because again, when you're on business travel, you're mostly alone and you want to connect with people, right? So we make that possible with our ambassadors in the hotel, which I miss. If I'm honest, I miss in a lot of other hotels, and I won't mention names.
that's so good. So another question for you. What's one of the biggest mistakes that you see when it comes to branding?
Ah, to branding specifically, you're asking.
Or branding?
One, I think, is copy paste. I think there was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, there was that whole discussion around a lot of luxury brands all basically going for the same font. I think it was maybe Futura or whatever it was, and kind of taking away the uniqueness within the font. So I think it's about copying too much, seeing something, saying, "Oh, we need to do that," and not asking yourself, "Yeah, but what is that for us?" Right? So, looking at another brand who does something, instead of going, "We're going to copy that," going, "Well, what is our version of that?" And challenging ourselves on that. So I think it's not taking that, and branding, not taking risks, trying to be too, it's not necessarily politically correct, but trying to please everyone. I think that that's one of the biggest mistakes you do, is sometimes you feel like you need to please everyone in what you do. And sometimes actually not pleasing everybody and sticking to your guns is actually much more stronger for you as a brand. So, are you a brand that only uses English? Well, if you really stand by that, and in countries where I say, no, you have to do it, well, why? Why do you? And I think that that's one of the biggest mistakes, is that a lot of brands try and please everyone. And the time we're living in, the social media era, unfortunately, has kind of made that be, because again, if the smallest group has the loudest voice now, right? Especially where there's complaints. So, previously, when there was no social media, you wouldn't actually hear it. that often. But now, everyone's afraid of that one person saying something about them. So they're trying to please everyone. And that's for me is very important as a brand to also stick with your guns because that's what makes you unique as a brand.
I love that. I think the digital presence thing is such an interesting thing, like how that's changed as well, and how like one, yeah, like you're saying, like one person's voice can have like a big impact. Because I was actually looking for, I'm doing a cycling holiday. I'm gonna go like cycling around. So
Hmm.
throwback to your hobby, your previous hobby. And I was looking at hotels, and then I mean, this must be something that happens often, I'm sure. But there was a person who had created like multiple accounts just to basically like complain about this one
Hmm.
hotel. So it's like it's one person with multiple accounts just making like, and it looks like a lot of
Yeah.
noise because it's just like one person but multiple accounts. It's, yes, bizarre.
We all fall. I mean, I would be lying if I would say, and when it kind of all started, that I didn't fall victim to this. I would say, oh, we need to do that, or we need to change that, or we should be careful with that. And it's only in the matter, as time went by, I realized, going, is that really the case? And why am I doing this? For whom? For this one individual? Well, there's 99 other individuals that are happy. The 99 of the 100, if they're happy, aren't going to say anything. That's the annoying thing as well. When people are happy, they're less prone to give compliments than if they're displeased. We as human beings are amazing at complaining, but we're very bad at giving compliments. Right.
Yep.
So I think that that's something we also need to realize, that, for every complaint you get, there are 100 other silent compliments out there.
Yeah, sometimes that like no news is good news kind of thing as
Exactly.
well.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
I think also the fact of like some complaints you see that just kind of go viral just because they're written in like a humorous way or something like this is also the danger of social media because people just repost things without really having experienced them themselves. And then
Hmm.
it just kind of has this little snowball effect where like this tiny little snowflake ends up being such a snowball.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, 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 correct.
And for you, what is your favorite thing about working with brands, on brands and branding?
On brand with brands. No, I think, no, it's twofold. One, I would say specifically to working on building brands is just having an opportunity to tell the stories and always trying to find unique ways to tell this story, right? I mean, my goal is always trying to do something new, different. Well, not new, but doing it in a different way specifically for that brand. Is just telling stories and seeing people get excited by it. That for me is just what why I wake up in the morning and do what I do. And I also, I advise friends with their brands and so on and what to do, because it's so fun to kind of find ways to tell those unique stories and get other people excited. But the other side, which I think excites me even more, is being in the industry for so many years means that I have an opportunity to work with others in all kinds of industry, and especially when building in the creative industry, and that just gives me so much energy, is learning from them, but also being a mentor and a leader to them. So helping them understand how to navigate the branding world, and especially now, because I really think that, as performance has become a much bigger word within not only hospitality and hotel industry, but across all industries. It's all about performance marketing here or there. Plus this whole discussion around AI, and everyone thinking, oh, now we don't need any creatives anymore because all we can do is say put in what we want. I think helping them understand and navigating that, and understanding how certain things can help them, understanding how the world's changing and how creativity will still play a pivotal role in all that. I would say that's where I get the greatest kick out of, is when I see individuals in my team, or friends or people I've been introduced to, blossoming through my advice and the guidance that I've given them, I would say, and making them really excited about building brands is just, it's just amazing. And that's what gets me up in the morning for sure.
That's really nice. This I think that's really cool as well, like wanting to pass on, yeah, pass on your knowledge and share that with people as
Correct.
well. And how do you measure like the impact of what you're doing, especially when you're like sharing with other people, like about the importance of brand? Like what are you telling them about like how they can measure the impact or the importance of it?
Hmm. Yeah. How do you measure the impact of brand? Yeah, it's a difficult one. Every company measures it differently, I would say, but I believe it's understanding also the impact it makes on revenue is very important, right? I think that in today's world, that's, you can't hide from that anymore, but also educating others, right? So getting them to understand that sometimes what you do in brand is a long-term play. And that's where something like, brand equity comes into play, right? That's slightly different measurement than saying, we're going to create this creative and it has to bring in that revenue. But it's brand equity takes into play, the what is that financial of this brand or of this company. But next to that, what is the role of the brand, but also the strength of the brand, right? So, is it top of mind, and taking those different things into consideration to measure that. I don't know if that's really answering your question, if that's the question you're asking.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good one. And I think like, because so then on the flip side of that, if somebody's like, "Oh, how do I know if my brand needs work?" Like, how do I know if I am like, how do I need to start from scratch, or do I like keep building on the current brand? Like, how would you kind of look at that as well?
I would say it's about what you deem brand awareness, but it's also very broad. It's really about comes back to my one of the first points I raised is once you take away the logo from that creative or whatever you create, is it still recognizable? And if it isn't, then your brand needs a lot of work, right? Again, I always say when I'm trying to get people to understand that, I always say close your eyes and think of Apple, right? I think everybody almost has the same visualization of it, right? The same goes, and that's where I'm happy I'm working with citizenM. I can literally, blindfold anybody who's been to citizenM and take them to a totally a different citizenM at a different side, in a different country. Take off the blindfold, and they'll know it's citizenM because we've taken that brand into the space you're living in. There are a lot of other hotel brands, not mention names, where I could blindfold you, put you in that hotel, and you would not know what the hotel is if you didn't see the logo. And I think that that's the unfortunate piece. And where those hotels do really well is, of course, yeah, they're the physical availability. They're all over the place, so they're going to be where you are, and they have great, or they have point schemes that keeps you a bit bound in there because you want to get that one holiday to the Maldives with your family. So no wonder you'll stay in this very very boring hotel. But I think that is the piece is again, if if you ask individuals, you know, what is this brand? And they can't tell you because there's just nothing unique about it. Your brand has a lot of work to then you haven't built a brand. You've built a service or a product, but not a brand. Then you still have that, you still have miles to go on building that brand.
I was just curious because brand, from everything you've said, everything we talked about, it seems like a really beautiful topic and a really beautiful space to work in, but also quite complex, right? Because you have to make sure that all parts, all puzzle pieces kind of perfectly fit in. And if one thing doesn't fit in, then the whole thing can kind of get a little bit diluted. So, how do you make sure that every team is aligned on your brand?
Education, education, education. The most important piece in being a brand evangelist within your company is educating everyone on that. And actually sometimes being, I won't use any profanity, being, being the bodyguard or being the guardian, going and saying, no, that's not on brand. And, sometimes, people sometimes won't like that. And, I think, and to your point, if you ask everyone to put together a financial report for XYZ, whatever, a lot of us are gonna say we can't do that, right? Because it's basically equations and whatnot and all that. I mean, I'm the last person to try and understand how to do an equation for building a bridge. I don't know, whatever it is, or financial reports or whatever. But everybody thinks they know branding. That's also the most annoying piece for everyone within our industry is that branding is such a, yeah, everyone thinks they know branding because they've all experienced it as consumers. Oh, but I know what a great hotel brand is, or I know, because I buy Apple, I know what cool is, right? And that I think is a lot of challenge for people within the branding industry is also having to face other individuals who think they know it better than them, but hasn't, gone through the track record.
Yeah, because I guess, like, that's probably one of the things that's, like, the most visual and the most, like, experienced parts of it, so everyone's probably got an opinion on it because they, yeah, think that they know what they see or think that they know what's going on, so
And that's always and that's always the thing is everyone has an opinion, and I've had years of training on how to react to that, and so it's like, thank you for your input. I'll take it into consideration, and then you take it from there. But
And then
but but I
that's the
but
show.
but I do listen to it, right? I think
Yeah.
everybody has valid input, but you also need to be able to give it a place within the whole. And it's maybe the most criticized, and it's difficult. I see a lot of creative sometimes being challenged because they feel like I've been trained so many years for this, but this person from that department is now giving their opinion, but what do they know? And then you have to balance it. Well, they do know because they're getting it from their point of view. They can, and then you have to kind of balance those two things out and learn from each other.
Yeah, I think that's a really, like, important point as well because, like, knowing which feedback to actually listen to or which opinions to listen to, because, like, obviously, like, the brand isn't designed to appeal to, like, absolutely everybody, otherwise it would probably appeal to nobody, so actually being able to dissect, like, the feedback and be like, "Oh, actually, this is really, like, important, like, valid feedback," versus just like, "Oh, yeah, that's nice to hear that you yeah, thanks for sharing that with me," you know?
What I always tell people within the branding creative community is always ask questions, right? So when someone comes with an opinion, find ways to ask questions to go even more deeper, deeper, and deeper. What happens then is when you go, okay, but why are you saying that? But what was your experience when that happened? But no, and do you feel this? The more you ask, the person actually coming with the opinion can possibly, and you can end the conversation going, the person going, oh, well, actually, maybe I don't know that. Maybe you are the best, So if you keep on asking the questions and listening, is when you actually come to the real core of what that opinion is and where that opinion is based from.
That's really cool. I love that you're like, yeah, asking the questions to kind of get to the root of it, but then also helping them to see like, yeah, like what they're saying as well. I think that's a really
Correct.
cool approach to that.
Correct.
So there's two more questions that I wanted to, or that we
Sure.
wanted to ask you today. So I think often like these dedicated brand roles, there's not necessarily a dedicated brand role in every hotel marketing team. Like if there is a marketer, a hotel marketer with like a smaller team, how would you suggest that they incorporate like the important elements of brand into the role that they have?
Wow. And they have no budget to hire someone specifically for brand, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get
Yeah,
the
yeah.
scenario
So,
here.
let me, like, set the scene. So, like, some of the hotels that we work with, they have,
Yeah.
like, 1 hotel marketer, or there's, like,
Yeah.
maybe 1 or 2 people. Like, with everything else that they have going on, like, we know that brand is important. How does brand tie into, or how do you think that brand should tie into the strategy that they're working on or where they focus their energy?
Wow. So, that's a good scenario. How do you do it if you don't have someone to help? I think it's, I mean, the best. Sorry, I'm thinking about how to answer the question because I find it a good one because my answer would naturally be hire someone who's really good at brand to help you build that. I mean, I think I think there are a lot of experts out there that can help you. I think asking the public or asking your friends and getting feedback on that and understanding, where they feel. But I think, if you have a small team, it's again about education. There are enough books, not necessarily, but there are enough, material out there to help you along those steps. What was that? I don't have it here, but there's one book that I do think going to go into my bag very quickly, and it's like sharing, which I think I if you're really just starting out and it's something where you need a lot of guidelines to do this, there's this book called Brand the Change, which I think is a really good book to help you understand what branding is. And there's a lot of exercises in that. So if you're really asking, like, if you don't have the means, how can you do it within the team you have? I think this is a good start and a good material. But I think, so having someone there outside of your company to give you that, or outside of your hotel company to give you a bit of guidance is definitely also needed. And peers within the industry, you'd be very surprised, I feel, within the hospitality and hotel industry, how many that were actually more friends than enemies. There are a lot of other hotel brands out there where I have lunches or dinners, and I meet up with the chief brand officer or the MD of creative or whatever, and we just exchange thoughts, and we exchange also just to even people management. How do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? And that for me might actually be, the book is great, But sitting with others and learning from others, I think would definitely be your way to do it. So reach out, LinkedIn or whatever, and say, hey, do you have an hour for coffee? I would suggest to do it offline and in person because you get so much more deeper than online, and learn from others within the industry. I mean, hey, anybody can reach out to me and have a conversation. I'm always there to have a conversation, to give my thoughts and guidance and thinking on that, and direction on things. So I think that that's the best way to do it.
I love that. I think that's so cool. I've definitely seen it in this industry where the people really are willing to share and want to help other people as well. I think this podcast is a great example of that as well, where people like have a lot of really good experience and good, they're willing to share that information. It's not like, oh no, I can't tell anybody how to
No,
do this. Like it's a secret. So I think, yeah, definitely can only echo what you're saying there where, yeah, I
yeah,
think,
we all go through the same things, right?
yeah.
But again, if we all create unique brands, it's not that we are going to copy each other, right? So I'd say, the MD of brand of the student hotel, Jason, he's I would call him a friend now. We meet regularly, and we aren't telling each other's what we're doing, of course, the secrets, but we're sharing our experiences. And, oh, how are you busy with this? Oh, you launched that. What was the idea behind that? Where did that come from? And where do you see that going? And, where are your challenges? And I really appreciate that. And I learn as much from him as I hope he learns from me. Maybe I learn more from him. He doesn't get anything from me, but hey, but a win-win
He
for
just
me,
has
right?
fun. Yeah, he just
He
hangs
just
out,
has
gets a
fun.
free coffee, free
Yeah,
lunch.
yeah, yeah.
No, no.
And that's for me the most, yeah. And that for me is really is very important. My network is all about learning, and and again, and I would say also from other industries. Sometimes we stay within our bubble, and this is probably where I would say I'm very lucky, is that I didn't start in the hotel industry, right? The citizenM is my first and only hotel hospitality job I've ever done. I've worked, for, like I said, the textile, the drinks industry, and this and that, and advising here and there in totally other industries. And that is, I learn more from non-hotel brands than I do from hotel brands, because if it's a fashion label that does this, then the question always is, but how can I make that work for citizenM? Which is a totally different service we offer, right? And that, I think, is the unique thing, and that's where you can learn.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like the different perspectives, different backgrounds, different
Correct.
experiences. I think, yeah, you can create like a much more interesting or unique view on and make your own opinions about stuff as well and build something
Correct.
really unique. Yeah, that's
Correct.
awesome.
Correct.
I love that.
Nako's favorite question.
I knew it. You're ready. You're ready with your favorite question.
I'm ready. I'm ready. No, actually, I'm not sure. It started off being my favorite, but over the course of the podcast, we had so many great questions. So, but I'll stick to it. What are your 3 key takeaways for hoteliers who are listening to this episode? So, just if you'd have to take out the 3 most important points, what would they be?
Build a brand around your consumer, which means don't forget what they are. Put them central at every decision you make, right? You can make certain choices based around your bottom line and your EBITDA and whatever. But sometimes those decisions aren't the smartest decisions when it comes to your consumer, because they're the ones who really value what you do. Um, Treat your brand like a human being, right? It has values, it has a tone of voice. It really treat it like it was a person, right? Then you would value it totally different, because then you'll see that there's so much more to it than just the way it looks or the way it sounds. It's also about the values. It's also about how it connects with others. So I would say that that definitely is it. And don't underestimate the value a creative brings to the wider business. And what I mean by that is, again, it might spur from the recent conversation around this whole AI and me hearing things like, oh, but now we don't need a copywriter, or oh, now the copywriter can just put in something and get something out. And what I mean by that is, yeah, definitely go ahead. I say to everybody who works at the company, doesn't work within the brand creative side of the company. I say, put in what you want, because it's not only about what you get out, it's what you put in, and you need a creative to input it correctly to ensure you get the right output, right? And that's why I think creatives have such a different perspective that they can challenge and come with something unique for your brand that I think, really bring them into other conversations you otherwise would not think about having them part of, right? Ask them about it when you're launching a new product. Don't wait to brief the creative and come with, I just need a ad for this. Actually ask them about the product and you'll see that they'll probably come with something really crazy and unique for the product and add to it and actually brings a lot more value to it as well. So I would say that, that, and can I have a fourth one?
Yes.
Sure.
And I'm just going to reiterate it because I said it in the start. It's not about a brand is not about the font and the color. It's the full experience from literally the moment someone sees your brand or interacts with your brand for the first time, from the moment they, move on. Don't forget the brand shouldn't stop from the website, especially in the hotel industry. So, that brand you've put on the hotel, that needs to be felt when they come through the door of your hotel. And if you go through the door of your hotel and it feels like a totally different brand, then you're not doing something right.
So good. Okay, that fourth one as well. I'm glad that we let you do the fourth one. That was no, that was awesome. I think, yeah, such a great wrap up. And like, one of the reasons why I love the 3 key takeaways part, because it's like 4 in this in this situation, but I think it's just like there's so much wisdom that I think comes out in those moments as well, where it's just like it's such a cliche, but like the mic drop kind of moments. I just love it, and I think all of that what you shared was so good. I love, love, love also what you're saying about not just seeing the creatives as the executor, but actually like, wanting to get their input and how they see things. And maybe there's a way that you can, they have ideas on how to do things differently rather than just executing on a brief. So yeah, I think that's awesome. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
I'm just going to add one thing to
Yeah,
that
go
about
for
the
it.
creatives. And I think that comes about because a lot of creatives within the brand industry, they have seen and they're constantly exposed to so much more. It isn't just that Excel sheet from 9 to 5 that they focus on, or that one page on the website intranet or whatever, what a lot of other jobs do, unfortunately. They have to get inspired to be able to excel as creatives. They have to travel. They have to connect with others. They need to look at other industries. They need to read. They need to feel. They need to watch. They get so much more exposure to things that inspire and grow and grows their mind, because that is the only way that they can be successful at being creative. And therefore, that's a wealth of information and knowledge you can then get when you're thinking of how to build out your own brand and company. So don't forget that that's that wealth of knowledge that was right there. Use that for other parts of the business, have them challenge. That's great.
So good. Ah, that was awesome. I think this was such a great episode, and thank you so much for joining us and sharing your knowledge and your experience as well. I think, yeah, really, really awesome.
No, yeah, it
I
was
agree.
a pleasure. No, it's a pleasure. Again, I get very excited about this. Like I say, this is, brand for me. Building brands is just, yeah. I mean, I don't understand why not everybody wants to be, leading a brand and building brands. I think that's what everyone should do in the world, and it would make the world a better and happier place.
Yeah.
All just need to be super creative. I sometimes struggle with the creativity part. I'm thinking like sometimes when I have to write a LinkedIn post, for example, I'm like, Victoria, help me. I need something catchy, But yeah, I mean, you have to grow and learn in that area as well, right?
Yeah.
I think also just one point I wanted to mention just before we end, but the fact that you mentioned community, I think is also something super important that I just wanted to like highlight again, because like you said, not being afraid to reaching out to others, scheduling a coffee. I think sometimes, we are so stuck in feeling like, oh, we don't maybe want to ask someone, or, just stuck in our own bubble, and just expanding that and saying, hey, reach out to someone in your network or someone new just to get new ideas, new kind of inspirational waves. I think that's super important as well. So thank you for highlighting and pointing that out as well.
No problem. And always be open to the fact that you don't know everything, That's also the thing. You're always learning. Everyone's always learning. That's very important. That you need to be open to that.
Yeah.
That's so good. Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to do our little wrap up now for the episode. So, yes, thank you so much for joining us today. And for those of you listening at home, please share your thoughts with us. If you think there's anything else that we've missed, or if you have any questions about any of the topics that we've covered today, please get in touch with us at welcome@hotelchamp.com. And make sure to follow Hotel Champ on all of your favorite social media channels. Stay tuned for more episodes in the future. Take care of yourself. Have a great day. And bye-bye.
Bye.